everybody. This is going to be a serious video, and I hope I can make it through it because if this video saves one person, that's all that matters. I'm going to talk about the passing of my own dad. His name was Thomas E. Hendricks. He was my best friend. He was my cheerleader, my confidant, the person I went to for everything, and he always had my back. The one thing he would say if I talked to him about my family or I had any type of worry, he'd say, "Don't worry, Lori, everything is going to be okay." So, alrighty then. And he was right, except maybe in this circumstance. So my dad had a very tough upbringing. He had a lot of demons in his closet. He had his stories. I won't share them simply because they were his stories to tell, and out of respect for family members, I'll just fast forward to my childhood with my father. My dad's dad had passed away from suicide around the time I was born. He had taken his life by running the family car in the garage. And when I asked my dad about it, he said the day his dad died was the best day of his life. And so you can see from his reaction how that could have, how horrible his childhood had been. And so anyways, my dad was an alcoholic. He drank a majority of our lives, except for times when he gave up drinking. He was very quiet. He raised us. He provided for us. We had a home. We had a Catholic school education. We went on trips. For the most part, we were a normal family. My dad was very jovial. He was kind. People loved him. He was really funny. He had a great sense of humor. And there were times during his bout of alcoholism where he was unbearable. He was at his worst 127 pounds, and he was 6'2", so he was a skeletal. He got better. Everything was going good. And then he decided he wanted to move to California to be somewhere warm, where my younger sister lived, and she kind of was able to oversee his finances and take care of his bills and things, because he stopped taking care of his bills. He really didn't care about taking care of bills. It's just the way he was. And his retirement allowed him to be comfortable. So he was living close to my sister. He had been gone about a year and a half, I think. And he would call me and we would chat. And he was so funny. And he started to act different. He would call me during the week when I wasn't able to pick up. This is in, I think, 2009 maybe. And he would call when I was at work and I couldn't pick up, and he'd say, "Don't call me, I'll call you." And it was July 27th, 2009. I went to sleep. About 2.5 hours later, my daughter comes in my room. She says, "Your sister's here. She needs to tell you something." And I woke up. It was 12:30 in the morning. And I had to go to work. I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "Dad's gone." And I said, "Where did he go?" She goes, "No, he's gone. He's dead." And I was in shock. Since his body was in California, we had to fly him back because his funeral trust was here. Thank goodness he had a funeral trust. But his passing was, this is where it gets tough. My dad was alone primarily a lot, and although my sister was in California, at the time of his passing, she went from California down to Florida for work. I'm not going to say her source of employment, but she was down in Florida for work, so my dad was alone. And maybe that was his plan, so that we wouldn't have to see his body. So I guess my dad, who was normally very social, his apartment manager called my sister and said, "We haven't heard from your dad in about the last 8 hours, 12 hours, etc. And can we go in the apartment?" And my sister said, "Sure." The police knocked on the door, took the key, and went in. And there was such a huge backdraft of heat, just heat, that they didn't know what was going on. Called the fire department, went in. It was about 150 degrees in his apartment, and they found him unclothed, sitting on the side of his bed. He had fallen backwards on his bed, so he was completely unclothed. They had to pull open the shades and open the windows and get the fans in there, and that's how he passed away. And come to find out, through the apartment manager and all that, doing some research, my dad was always cold. I'm always cold too, but what he did is he rigged his gas stove so it was on the highest temperature he could get it, and also that he would close up all the windows in his apartment, and he would turn his heat up as high as it would go as well. So he died from hypothermia, just excessive heat, carbon monoxide poisoning, etc. And that's how my dad passed away. My sister's husband was home in California at the time, so he went to identify my dad, and it was able to confirm it was him. And then, because he was in California and he was with the coroner, California can hold the body up to 30 days. And my uncle, my dad's brother, fortunately, is a doctor. He was able to contact the coroner to say, hey, release the body so they can have a funeral. And so they had to, and then the morgue isn't open on the weekends. He passed away on a Monday going into Tuesday. They had to do the autopsy. The morgue is not open on the weekend, so I had to go take care of everything at the funeral home Tuesday. They weren't able to fly him back until the following Wednesday. We had the funeral Wednesday, Thursday, Friday was the cremation and burial. And Thursday was cremation, Friday was burial. So it was about almost a week and a half before my dad was back. And when I went to the funeral home, my daughters were with me, and I saw his body. I stood next to the casket and saw his body, and I said, that's not my dad. But when I walked to the top and saw his profile, I knew it was him. And that's when I broke down and cried. And when they did the autopsy, because my dad was bald, they cut from the top across, and so you could see the scar from the autopsy. It was really tough. He didn't leave a notes. He never told me, hey, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. It was really, really tough because he didn't say goodbye per se. So we don't know why he chose to go that way. The only way I think and believe is he wanted to go alone. He didn't want us girls to suffer or find his body. And I don't think he could handle the demons from his childhood anymore. You just don't know what a person's mindset is. But I don't know if from my past trauma, I've talked about it with the military, my military sexual trauma. I got therapy, and so I was able to get some healing from that and let it out. And my dad really was never able to let it out because I heard bits and pieces, but I never really knew everything. He never really was able to talk about everything. He was just held it all in. But he was brilliant. My dad was brilliant. So if you know someone who's struggling, if you're struggling, even if you're a man, please go talk to someone. Don't leave behind your kids. Don't. Please don't. I miss my dad every single day. I wish he was here to enjoy my life. Oh, he would have so much fun because we go fishing, we go to the lake and just take walks, and he could help me with my house and my gardens and my animals. He would really, 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 really be happy. But that's it. So how he left, whether it was carbon monoxide or he just decided that was it for him, I'll never know. So if this helps one person, please don't hesitate. Get out there and get help. And I'll be back.